Welcome to Sachs Realty's Tuesday Night Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything real estate. Each week, we deliver expert information enabling you to make better informed decisions while keeping more money in your pocket. If you're interested in real estate, this is your show. The Super Tuesday, that is Sachs Realty's Super Tuesday, because every Tuesday is super. I think that's like our favorite day, isn't it?
It's our favorite day of the week.
Get to get up early in the morning, work all day, and then come to you guys late at night into the evening, spend a couple hours with you guys. We love you. We are so happy to spend Tuesday with you. But there is a poll, and if you guys haven't checked out the poll yet, please do, because it's a simple question. Are you happy with the prices of life's necessities and really with the U.S. economy overall? We got a special guest. We'll just get it out of the way and just say hello. Arvin, how are you, buddy?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
Man, we're excited to talk to Arvin. He's got a really cool program that he just developed. We're going to dive into that tonight. We'll talk more about that shortly. Melissa, what's going on?
Hello, Todd. Hello, Arvin. So happy to have you with us this evening. Everyone, it's great to be here. I am going to be, as always, reading your questions and comments that come through the live chat. But so much going on this week. A lot of you have been reaching out to me, as I had mentioned in the previous shows, and you need some assistance. And what I'm finding in many cases is that a lot of you have already sold your properties and are living with family, and you're not in leases and you're waiting. And the statement that a lot of you are giving me is that you are in no rush. So I like to hear that. I like to hear that people don't feel the pressure and they're taking their time, even though it may be a little bit frustrating. But again, I'm going to mention, if you need some assistance in connecting with a real estate agent where you live, please reach out to me. And the best way to do that is using Todd's email, which is the ts@sachsrealty.com. You can always call the office as well. I'll be glad to answer and assist you. And if you're a real estate agent and you want to learn more about being included in our network of agents across the country, please reach out as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was a lot in what you just said. If real estate agents in general would love for people to rush and go out and buy, which brings me to my first topic of discussion. We're going to not probably have any more real estate agents other than Arvin and some other agents that we know actually isn't afraid to tell you what's really going on in the marketplace. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The agents think that if they come to you and say that sales are down and that things really suck, that, I don't know, that maybe they control or manipulate the market somehow. Maybe they think that if they actually tell you what's really going on, that it'll get worse. I don't really know. I don't have to make the decisions. You guys are voting with your feet. The economy has us in a frozen market. Yes, you have pockets where things are still happening, but we're really, will probably go down as probably one of the worst springs we've seen in the housing market, just based on affordability. I don't have to look. I don't have to be the one to tell you this, because you all are feeling it. Prices are terrible. I drove to work this morning and I was thinking to myself, as I was sitting in gridlock traffic of people going to work to sit at their jobs and know that after they get their paycheck, they still won't have enough money without working another job or not buying something that they want, right? They're in debt. Credit card delinquencies are in double-digit numbers all across the United States. I think Texas is one of the worst states. You guys don't need me to tell you that. You're living it. You're feeling it. You can't make your payments. You're paying the minimum due. You're deciding what bills get paid and what bills don't get paid this month. And if you guys are one of the fortunate ones, if you're listening and this doesn't apply to you, consider yourself blessed, because we're seeing it. This is no lie, right? I think they said the affordability of housing affordability across the country is over 7 times median income is the price of a house. So Arvin has a great product we're going to dive into. I want to lay it down out in the open. Arvin showed me this amazing development that he's worked so hard on through the years. We've got a link down in the show notes when we get to that part, because we're going to show you, he has created this product that lets you zoom in to a zip code level and see a buy or sell indicator or trend over the next 12 months. So it's amazing. It's updates every 5 days, a really cool product. We're launching it here with Arvin tonight. I just want you to know there is a discount code. He has told me that if you guys subscribe to this, there won't be any greater discount than what you will find on Sachs Realty. That's a 20% off of the subscription price. You can check it out. But I do want to disclose that it is a financial benefit for you to use that code. For us, we do get a fee if you decide to sign up. Just putting it out there, guys, I am always straightforward when I talk to you. But anyway, Arvin, why don't you just give us we'll come back to it, but just give us an overview, Arvin, and then we're going to do some other things, talk about a few things, and then come back to this because people will be logging on as we go through it. But go ahead, Arvin, tell us your baby, man, something that you've been working on, which you should be very proud of.
Thank you, Todd. You nailed it. You mentioned right off the bat, like people are hurting. And a lot of time, real estate agents are not really stepping up to the plate to really say the truth, right? And unfortunately, real estate agents in some ways have become, I would say, for lack of a better word, hype men, right? And they play this role as like, oh, it's good. It's never a bad time to buy a house. It's always a good time to buy a house. Market is not going down. Market is thriving. Who said it's going down? As if like they are cheerleaders for the housing industry, a position that nobody told them to take, right? And at the same time, just something that I don't see any other industry getting into that, in that sense. So you're a real estate professional. You've been doing this longer than I have been. I've been doing it for 10 years. But the number one question people come and ask me is like, Arvin, people know me in LA. People stop me. They know me for residential real estate. And they say, Arvin, they kind of pull me to the side and say, Arvin, is it a good time to buy? And it's such an interesting question. And I don't think the general public realizes how in-depth that question is and what you're actually asking someone to do. There are about maybe 40, 50 different indicators that affect the housing market in each zip code, in each county, in each state. Real estate is extremely local. And what we are being served is a bunch of headlines in the news. Real estate is crashing. Real estate is booming. And we go in and try to make assumptions or base our decisions on these headlines that, I've heard the housing market is down. Well, guess what? There's a boom and bust at any given time in the United States. Maybe there's 10 busts and there's 20 booms at the same time happening every single day. Doesn't matter even what the economy is, right? It's just so micro level. And then when you ask a real estate agent, unfortunately, real estate agents have come to this position where they're becoming defenders of the housing prices instead of analysts and trying to contribute the best they know. But unfortunately, it's what I came to even realize when people ask me that question, it's almost impossible to answer because if someone stops me in the street and says, Arvin, how's the housing market? First, I need to know which neighborhood they live in because it's segmented based on price points. Different markets are doing differently, different based on employment rate in different areas. Market is doing differently based on interest rates. It's doing differently. So I have to have memorized 30 different indicators in the particular neighborhood that they're asking this question about, right, in my head, and then apply the take into account the local unemployment and what that could look like in the future, and see how those indicators have affected the historical price point for that neighborhood, and then give them an assessment as far as how it's going to be right now or how it's going to be in the future. It's just, I studied industrial engineering and I've taken a lot of classes. It's a pretty difficult question to answer, any human to answer, even if with the best intentions. So I decided to create this software that really does all of that, what I just told you. What it does in essence is that it takes over 30 different housing indicators and all the ones that you've already heard. You hear a lot of YouTubers talk about it: supply, demand, price cut, days on the market, new inventory, all these, housing data points. plus the local unemployment rate at the zip code level, at the county level, at the state level, plus the historical mortgage rates, and sees how these 30 different indicators have affected this particular zip code that you're talking about, and then assigns maybe 3, 4, 5, 10 of those indicators that affect that zip code individually the most, and then applies this Fed Fund CME forecast for the future, what the financial markets think the interest rates will be or mortgage rates will be in the future, and forecasts 12 months out and gives you buy and sell signals with a degree of confidence. So I think it does a way better job than any human can, even with the best intentions, to even try to do. And we've had a huge success with this software so far. It's doing a really, really good job. It's I would say, a small step towards the right direction where you get an unbiased opinion from an AI software, which is designed to give its best shot as far as what the housing market is going to look like to you, instead of so a really well-informed and a well-intended person who just gives their gut feeling about the market to you. So that was the why, and I have a huge passion towards eliminating buyer and seller remorse in real estate. On my YouTube channel, I critique properties. I tell you 3 things that I like about it, 3 things I don't like about it. It was initially very controversial because they're like, Arvin, you're a real estate agent. How come you could talk about like things that are bad with the property? We've never seen any agent do this before. So I do that because I really believe in transparency for the regular folks to kind of see the good, the bad, as far as the quality of the home goes, and then also take a look at is it a good time to buy or not? And it doesn't tell you not to buy. It just tells you it's going to be better in the future or worse in the future. And you could still transact today, but you should do that knowing that you would probably get a better discount, in 2 months, 3 months, 5 months. It's forecast 12 months out. So you might want to negotiate a harder discount today, right? So that is what is going on. And that's the software. So if you guys want to see the, I'm sure we can take questions from the audience, and I can do some sample analysis of what the market does. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use. Very user interface is pretty easy to understand. It gives you a text summary of the forecast, also a buyer recommendation and a seller recommendation. And plus, it has all the housing indicators that you would traditionally use to analyze. So you don't have to solely rely on the AI forecast we provide. You can also look at the traditional indicators and say, okay, let me verify that, right? Oh, supply is higher than last year. There's a lot more price cuts. Okay, that makes sense. I can see it. Or you could come and say, oh, maybe the AI model is making a mistake because this data doesn't suggest that, right? But the interesting part is that this software is pretty transparent and it tells you this level of confidence. And it's also a great tool for investors who want to do research, because you can set filters nationwide. We cover around, I think, 27,000 zip codes, almost all, populated zip codes in the United States. And you can do research as far as, okay, where our home prices are likely to decrease. And then it has from poverty level to, crime rates to higher education levels, as far as long-term investing as well. So put a lot of time
get into it a little bit. Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, we'll get some people to already see some zip codes that are popping up. We'll dive into a little bit here and kind of show the software. It is pretty cool. But yeah, Arvin, you said something that is really important. And I've always said there's really no such thing as a recession. We're talked into it. We're talked out of it. I mean, what is a recession anyway? I just know you can either afford life or you can't. I call that affordability crisis, not recession. I could really care less about negative GDP growth. In fact, I don't think we need disinflation. We need deflation. It's ridiculous that we're advancing as a modern world. And I mean, remember, plasma TVs used to be $5,000. You can buy a 55-inch LED for $300. I mean, $200. It's ridiculous. The prices come down. We used to carry around phones, computers. We've got it all in the palm of our hand. A camera, right, with the best quality. We can now broadcast it all over the internet. So when we're looking at prices, should actually be coming down. I mean, we're growing like in 6 hours or something. I think with all the antibiotics and all the chemicals or whatever that there is in the food now, we're producing chickens like faster than we've ever produced them. How come the chicken doesn't cost less? Why is it that these prices are? We've got more products and chemicals out there to keep crops alive nowadays. We're ingesting this stuff. They want to call it organic, whatever. The bottom line is we're being fed a bunch of crap, right? But here's what's happening. To my point is that what is a recession? We're talked into it. We're talked out of it. Mainstream media comes and says, oh, we're in a recession. Well, they're not now, but that's what they do. And we stop our spending. We actually feel it a little bit. And then they go, hey, the recession's over. Everything is great. And then people go out and spend money that they don't have, which is why we're, over $1 trillion in credit card debt. But the mainstream media is pushing the narrative that home prices are rising. So now they just say, well, the increases are adjusted down. Maybe we'll only see a 1% or 3% increase in home price, 4%, whatever, Zillow, whoever. The problem with this is the buyers are being, taken to these properties to see the properties with real estate agents that want to make a commission check. And they're listening to the mainstream media say that home prices are going up, not down. Forget the affordability. Well, affordability's improved, they say. I don't know how.
I don't know either.
Yeah, so now all of a sudden, the affordability, if you look at mainstream media, the articles are saying, hey, affordability is improving. But what you have is now agents taking people that are commission-based, that are incentivized to sell a house, and now the mainstream media is telling them that home prices are going to go up. Of course, they're continuing to give sellers more than what they're asking for because this is what's happening. The problem is now contracts are falling through. Home inspections are beating the sellers up on the backside of things. And, so they're realizing, they're getting remorse and realizing that they're, not as good a shape as the media is telling them. It's crazy, but
yeah,
we got some questions.
We have some questions, some specific zip codes.
We'll get into that. That's kind of
sure.
Yeah, we want to show his product, but
yep.
Let's take some questions.
Charlton is asking, what's the average 30-year rate? 7.4% or higher?
I mean, it's right around there. It's right around the sevens, depending on your credit. Yeah. They did come down a little bit in the last week, but not enough. I mean, we're going to have Powell tell us whether they're going to hold rates where they are or lower rates. Some people, I met with Peter Schiff today. It's going to be his video was amazing. Look, a lot of the things that I hear people talk about Peter Schiff, he explains away on why, he believes what he believes. And I want to talk a little bit about that tonight, but that video with Peter Schiff is dropping this Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. It is well worth the listen. I'm telling you that. For those of you that aren't a Peter Schiff fan, and I get them in my comments, we have almost 1.2 million views on our last video with him when I went down to Puerto Rico. This guy, he's smart guy. And
he makes a great argument he presents his case very clearly. You can agree or disagree with him, but he's very articulate about what his vision is, and it's always good to hear everyone's sides. I always listen to his interviews. He's a very interesting man.
I just want to bring a couple things up because you said that, Arvin. So he spoke about the BRICS nation, which is really amazing. A lot of people, I just posted with Brent Johnson, Santiago Capital. He says the dollar's strong, gives his whole reasoning why he believes that. Hearing Schiff on the other side saying the dollar is not as strong, we're pompous, we're arrogant for thinking that we're this powerhouse, that everyone else is trying to come up with their own currency because they feel like that we're weaponizing the dollar and we're utilizing the dollar, as the world's reserve currency, saying that that is the dominating currency, and the BRICS nations working on a currency to not be dependent upon the dollar. Right now, the dollar is said to account for about 90% of all currency trading. But this is an interesting point because I didn't know this, but until last year, almost 100% of oil trading was conducted in dollars. But in 2023, and this is fascinating, it was said that only about 1/5 of oil trades were made using the dollar. So you've got China, you have Russia that won't use dollar currency. They announced that, and in fact, in a Tucker Carlson interview with Putin, Putin was quoted as saying to use the dollar as a tool of foreign policy struggle is one of the biggest strategic mistakes made by the U.S. political leadership. He also said it is the main weapon used by the United States to preserve its power across the world. As soon as the political leadership decided to use the U.S. dollar as a tool of political struggle, a blow was dealt to the American power. It is a stupid thing to do and a grave mistake. I mean, I'm just saying that, we think that things can't come imploding because of our debt and because of the world, not using the dollar as U.S. currency. I mean, it probably can have some. Look, it's above my pay grade, but I'm just saying we have reason to argue that we're not in the great shape that we like to think that we are. And when I was driving to work this morning and I was sitting in a traffic gridlock, I kept saying, this is crazy. Like everything around us. I got a price for a fence on one of the properties that I own today, 333 feet of fencing, $25,000. Another on a commercial property, we're looking at putting a shed to store stuff on. A shed, piece of junk shed. That's it's a piece of junk shed. I mean, it's not like home construction. A 12 by 20 shed delivered to the site, $14,000. A 4x4 by 10 foot, $20.
God. I feel like everyone is jacking their prices. Todd, it's crazy. I have multiple sources of income, and it's hard for me. They've pulled the insurance. Our insurance has tripled. I think I pay around $6,000 a month just for insurances. It's ridiculous. I'm like, my father was like, Arvin, how you doing? I'm like, he's like, are you making good money? I'm like, yeah, but everything goes. I don't know how they take it. It's like everything we make, they take it. It goes, right? It just, you don't know how they take it, but they take it. It's insurances are just over here. I don't know about you guys have the situation here in California. It's just horrible, but we have a disaster. Car insurance, 3x compared to 2 years ago. House insurance, 3x compared to the same time last year. It's like, they just milking you, it's like a cow they found and they're just milking and milking and milking and milking. And I'm surprised when people say we're not in a recession. I'm like, how are people living right now? Because it's credit card debt is at the highest level. Incomes are not going up as fast as they should. Everything is expensive. You go out. We used to go out for like lunch at just like a work lunch, You'll be out of it by $10, right? Like 5 years ago, you go out between the appointments, boom, boom, have a $10 meal. Right now, good luck getting a meal in California for under 25. I'm not talking about luxury. I'm talking about like just
McDonald's.
Not fast food. Just not fast food, like just like a deli. Okay, I'm not getting fancy here. Just a deli. You get a Coke, you get a salami sandwich, you get French fries, $23, and then tip me 15, or sorry, tip me 20. Your options are 20, 22, and 25.
You brought up a point that I want to bring out because you said that they're taking everything. But you know what? It's amazing because the banks seem to be able to get bailed out at all costs. And when we look at the Fed, it's actually owned, it's central banks. It's owned by the banking industry. So, Joe, let's pull up a neat little chart because On March 12th weekend, the weekend that we saw the beginning of the banking failures in 2023, the Fed, without any, just on their own basically, and blessings of the U.S. Treasury, they said, hey, we need to save these banks because we got big problems ahead. That's not it. It's the or maybe okay, yeah, just that it just reduce it. It's the one where the line shows straight up where the banking when they started the on March 12th that weekend. Essentially, what happened was this bank term funding program. It's an emergency program that they came out to rescue the banks. Just go ahead and put us back to full screen there, Joe. Basically, what happened was the banks came out and they said, they're inside. Here we go. Thank you. They put this emergency funding program in place so that the banks wouldn't completely collapse and have an all out. I mean, we're talking about the largest banking failures, some of the largest that we've seen in the history of the U.S. They came up with this program that's supposed to sunset on March 11th. And basically what it was this special deal that they gave banks that they could borrow money at par. And they took major advantage of this thing. So you can see this straight up line. So when we hit that March 12th weekend, it rocketed straight up where these banks just kept taking this money, borrowing the money. Then what happened is it sort of plateaued, and you can see that line. Well, I think the banks probably got wind that, hey, this thing's going to end. And back in December of 23, you see that line shoot straight up again. They went back to the trough to get more money. Now, it's been said that these banks are using this money to make a profitable arbitrage, right? They're going to, one might think that they're like, hey, we need to jump on this bandwagon and we need to get some of this great money that that is available for us, that we could continue to lend out money. The problem is this: when it ends in, they're going to stop making new loans, the Fed, on this bank term funding program on March 11th. The problem is this $165 trillion. Is that what it is, Joe? 165 trillion, I think. Bring it back again. $165 trillion, right? Somewhere around 160. First of all, it's never getting paid back. What they're going to do is probably they're going to have to write that off. If the bank can't pay it back, they're going to stop it. So, I said to Peter today, I said, what are we going to do with that? Peter was in the banking industry, and, he got shut down, and he talks about the whole story while in that video that's coming out on Saturday. But what I'm saying, guys, is this is craziness that's going on here, in my opinion anyway. But like I said, what do I know? But let's dive into your program a little bit, Arvin. We'll take some zip codes and let you explain how this thing works. And again, guys, if you're going to go on and buy the program, use capital letters SACHS for Sachs to save 20% on it.
Yes.
So let's pick what do we have? A caller
let's
somebody commented.
choose. Yeah, we've got a handful here, but let's start with zip code 75703.
Okay, let's.
It's not trillion. I think it was billion. I got excited. 165 billion bank funding program. I think I said trillion.
Okay, if you want to share my screen, here we
Same
go.
thing.
Okay, so what was the zip code again?
Sure, it's 75703.
165 billion.
Miss Texas.
Trillions.
Trillion.
What's the difference between a billion
All
and a trillion?
right.
Couple zeros.
Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit just at the county level first. Okay, so it's always good to guys take a look at the county level because it kind of tells you the whole. It's more, the more data you have, the more aggregated data, the more accurate typically it becomes. Now, before we go to the actual forecast, I want to take a look at just kind of get an essence of what this neighborhood is all about. Okay. For that, I'm going to go to the housing data. As you can see, the crime rate is C. Okay. So it's, average, I would say. Poverty is 11%. It's not a It's not a poverty-driven area. Higher education is 23. It's not on the highest side, but I've seen lower as well. There's a shadow inventory of 17. What does that mean? It means that there's about 17% of the homes are not owner occupied. Okay, so there could be vacation homes here. There could be, again, I don't know the area at all, so it could not possibly could be something else, or just there are houses that are vacant. Okay, and it's 22% more expensive to buy than to rent, and the household income is 59K, which is solid, which is not it's not low, or it's a little bit on the lower side, but it's almost turning green. Okay, it's the shade. Now let's look at how the housing market is doing using traditional indicators first. Okay, there are 20% houses coming in, 22% going out. That's good, right? So there are more houses going out than houses coming in. But the problem you're looking at is median days on the market is 78, and it's trending straight up. Do you guys see this? It's trading straight up. That's not a good sign. And it's actually dangerous for 78. I don't care where in the country you are at this time of the year. Why? Because normally by February, and this is January data in, I don't think we have the February data yet. Possibly, maybe February data is into. Actually, I should have checked before doing the live. But 78 days at this time of the year is really alarming. And I'll tell you why. Because normally at this time of the year, a lot of new listings come on the market, and that naturally brings the median down. So for it to be 78 days on the market, it's really not good, right? As we can see, for sale inventory, there's, out of all the houses that are available, 1.18, that all the houses that exist, okay, 1% and 1.18% are available for sale, which is a really low number. And then unemployment rate is at 3.3, and it's trending down, which is also very good. It's a good sign. But what's really not good is 18% of the homes are getting price cuts. Again, you got to take that to account that it's in January, February, right? Which is not normal to get price cuts at this time of the year. You normally get in October, November, meaning the houses that were on the market are not selling, right? So they need additional price cuts, because typically at this time, a lot of new listings come, and it takes 3 months to get price cuts. Okay.
And Arvin, if I could just stop you there too. When we're talking about price cuts, because we see this in our market, when you're looking at 18% have price cuts, that's at least one price cut. Some of these properties have had multiple price cuts.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And when I just clicked on the zip code, this is the geographical area. Okay. And actually, before I do that, let me just show you guys the heat map. Okay. I'm going to go over here, choose the heat map. Look, so the whole county is red. Okay. That means it's pretty much a buyer's market. Okay. It's not a seller's market over here. And otherwise, you would have seen orange for neutral and green for seller's market. So overall, you can see these areas are doing worse, and we have some buy signals as well. Okay. But overall, you see a lot of sell signals. So I think it was a 75703, right? 75703. Okay. Now let's take a look at the AI forecast. Okay. So the blue line is the current market, okay, which is a beginning of a buyer's market. The purple line is the AI forecast. And as you can see, things are getting worse. And the description says by February, our algorithm projects a 4.7% market improvement for buyers with only 37% confidence. Prices are somewhat likely to decrease. This is what I'm talking about, being transparent. If the algorithm is not sure, it would tell you. Okay, it's not trying to fudge, right? Now I'm gonna look at the graph over here. This is also you can see the 12 months out. You can see in 6 months it's forecasted to go higher, right? In 9 months it's forecasted to come lower again, and in 12 months again lower. But in this area, this week, and you can see we have 3 days and 18 hours.
Go back to that line again, up and down. Mm-hmm. Go back to that.
So this is how it sees the market trending over the next 12 months.
Right. Okay? But what we're looking at here, right, is and I think the key thing to look at here is where it was last year and where it is this year. It is not as high as it was last year.
Yeah, it was much 10% more seller friendly last year. And it's come down. You can see it's a 10 plus 10 green, and it has come straight down, right? And overall decision is 2 down, but the algorithm is just not seeing enough data to give you a higher confidence. But this changes, right? Because it updates once a week. And by the way, I have to preface this before doing even more. You know, probabilities are not certainties, okay? It just looks at all this data and then looks at the mortgage rate forecast from CME. I'm sure Todd has showed it to you guys many times on his show, and then says if these rates happen that are forecasted by financial institutions to happen, this is what's most likely to happen in this neighborhood with this degree of confidence. Sometimes it's very confident, sometimes it's not. It displays that. And it updates the Fed fund future rates, which is right here. As you can see, this is the graph of the mortgage rates. Okay. Again, this is with perfect credit. So you got to adjust that if your credit is less. But this blue line is the historical, and the purple line is the 12 months forecast for mortgage rates. This graph updates every day. Okay. And the model updates based on what this graph tells us, CME tells us, once every 5 days. Okay. So in general, I would say I am confident that things are getting worse because the traditional indicators agreed with the AI forecast, even though the confidence level was low. But for best results, I think you would have better to wait another 3 days, 18 hours and 23 minutes to see the next forecast because with a higher degree of confidence. I like to see normally forecasts that are at least above 50 or 60%. Otherwise, I would do a combination of both of them. You can also look at the declining factors. Okay, so we categorize as the historical typical indicators by category. You can look at the growth elements that are helping the prices to go up, elements that are helping the prices to come down, and you can customize your own. Right, you can customize your own dashboard however you want it. Right, like for example, when I'm looking at the declining factor, pending ratio is 23. That's horrible. Meaning, if there are 100 houses on the market for sale, only there are 23 that are pending, that are in escrow. And then another indicator that I like to normally watch is, let's get rid of buy versus rent. I will add new supply. This is a really good one to look at this time of the year. So new supply, there are 4% more houses coming on the market this year than same time last year. Now, if we go back on the county level and look at the same indicator, it's about the same. It's not changing much. But the declining factor for the whole county, there are 50% more price cuts than same time last year. Very bad. Pending ratio is a straight line down. Do you guys understand that? It's not good. So it's 28%, which is really low, and it is continuing to go down. And days on the market is shooting up. Yeah, I can tell you confidently, if you're planning to buy a house in this area, you better off negotiating really hard. Try to get the discount of 6 months from now today. Okay. Otherwise, be patient. If you're a seller and you have to sell, if you don't have to sell, it's always good to hold properties, right? I'm a big adamant of, I say I'm a real estate agent too. So I tell people I sell properties, but I don't sell properties, right? I sell people for people who want to transact. For myself, I only buy, right? I don't sell. So my recommendation would be, if you're a seller and if you really have to consider it's an urgent matter, then you price your property aggressively, because there will be more inventory in the future in this zip code, in this county as a whole, and there will be more competition. You better off selling it now at a discount, because you'll be forced to give that discount, or you'll be chasing the market down to the bottom, and you never want to do that.
There's lots of questions here, Arvin, about
Oh,
how does this
I
work?
just did the rents too, by the way. Look at the rents. That's not good either. I mean, if for commercial properties, it's plateaued and it's coming down. That's also, I mean, it's good for people, right? But imagine for buyers who are coming in, a buyer, if you're planning to buy, looks like rents are coming down, try to wait it out, rent a property for another 6 months, a year, wait for prices to come farther down, and then purchase, because time is on your side.
Yeah, I don't think that this financial mess that we've created is going to go away
Yeah, I
any
don't
time
think
in the
so
next
either.
months. I don't think we're going to raise $1 trillion in credit card debt. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah.
Melissa, we have more questions.
We do have questions. So we have this one here, but I want to know how well its predictions are playing out over a given period of time. And then this specifically, how is the AI making this forecast for future years? How does the software's previous forecast compare with what actually happened? What do
Okay.
you say to that?
So this is a really first of all, we don't forecast farther than 12 months. Okay. So it's only a 12 months forecast. So if you're looking for a long-term forecast, I can do it on a zip code, not using AI, traditional methods to show you guys what indicators to use in the software to look at, but we only forecast 12 months out. The other element is that how accurate it is. Look, this is a live model. It's like holding a mirror. The best way I can explain it to you guys is holding a mirror. If the conditions change, the forecast will be changed. If the Fed, right now, our forecasts are all dependent on the CME forecast for mortgage rates to come down at that rate, right? And that's all very much so into this forecast. If the Fed drops the rates by 3% tomorrow, all our forecasts will be inaccurate today. Okay, so the purpose of the model is not to make a prediction and say that's it, we've made this prediction and we're sticking to it. No, it's not. It's like a live model where it will give you a snapshot. Given all the information we have today, what's the most likely scenario? And if those conditions change, the forecast will change.
Well, I
So
just want to say this too, Arvin. What other models are out there? I
there's
mean,
none.
when we're looking at what do you want to do? Do you want to see a manipulated data set, or do you
Yeah.
want to see something that is scraping all of these different indications and compiling it into some kind of a think model, right? Some kind of a
It is a think model.
machine
It's a
learning.
friend. It's an unbiased buddy,
Let
right?
me tell you, a real estate agent's not a buyer's agent's not going to like this. Do you think they want to have somebody like you or your program say, "Oh, don't buy for another 9 months in this area if you want to buy and you want to save some money"? Now, look,
Yeah,
well,
they wouldn't.
it's important to say that if you want to buy a property today, go buy a property today. I'm not. If you bring the data forward, you make the decision if the property checks all the boxes and you want to pull the trigger to do it. I just had a client today say go on a house that we identified. It's a good possibility you're overspending by $20,000-$30,000. And the client said, I'm okay with that. Everything's right. Everything's perfect. Let's roll. So, I mean,
Totally
you
fine.
can make those decisions, but at least I said
You
it.
should
You
know.
know,
Exactly. You should
at
know.
least I
Todd,
said
you
it.
nailed it. You nailed it. It's really about. I'm not telling you to buy or not buy a house, okay? But you should have a third party opinion. And I can tell you, this is the first model ever that I have done pretty research. There's not any other residential model that gives you buy and sell signals in the United States for I think like Citadel, the iBuyer programs, the hedge funds have models that they use internally. This is the first model that for a general public. And as far
Hey,
as
is Zillow going to tell you? Is
oh my
Zillow
God,
going to
Zillow is
say, "Don't buy
ridiculous.
now.
So,
Don't call us because we can't make a referral check giving you selling your lead to agents. Don't
it
buy
is
now." They're not going to tell you not to buy now.
Todd, Zillow's algorithm. I can tell you this is definitely better than Zillow's. 100% better than Zillow's. Okay. So imagine Zillow. Okay. They've got it so wrong, which is hilarious. They lost 2.4 billion, I want to say it's up 2 billion something dollars buying houses using their AI model in a bull market, and they lost 2.4 billion dollars. Like if you would have just
It's
done
broke.
it's how bad their AI model is. Their forecast, I would not rely on their forecasts
But
whatsoever.
here's the difference. If this
Yeah.
doesn't work, who's broke in your company?
What was that?
I said, if this doesn't work, who's broke in your company?
Who's broken in my company?
Yeah, who's broke? You.
Yeah.
You don't have, this isn't publicly traded. If
Yeah.
you're a publicly traded company and you get something wrong and you lose a bunch of money, who's
Yeah.
broke?
I really made this for myself, to be very frank.
The shareholders are the ones that take the blunt.
I wanted to create a model that I could help me. I'm a real estate investor. I help people, and I've always been very analytical. You can see that in my YouTube channel. I'm super analytical person. I analyze homes. I analyze everything. I'm always interested in commodities, everything. So I had known about Citadel, all these big hedge funds, right? They've been working with AI since late 1980s. If you read the book, which was one of the motivations behind me committing year and a half building this tool. It's called The Man Who Solved the Market. Okay, behind your back, guys, when you were sleeping, these really smart people came with AI models before AI was popular. Okay, in the realm of conversations, they've built these AI models to forecast the financial markets. Okay, right now, most of the trades you're seeing on, from Shiba Inu cryptocurrencies to the stock market to the Dogecoin and Pepe and all those stuff that you guys are seeing right now, half of those trades probably are done by computers. Okay, and I was looking at the residential real estate market. I was like, wait a minute. People have two choices: to ask their real estate agent, which is very clear type of answer you're going to get. If you're looking to buy a house, it's a great time to buy a house. If you're looking to sell, it's the best time to sell a house, right? So you're not going to get any help there. And then you're relying on these really messed up forecasts from Zillow and Redfin, which are completely inaccurate, right? And they're not even down to the zip code. They don't even have a dashboard like I do. Like they don't even have the user interface, anything similar to what we have over here. And then, you have YouTube channels that kind of speak broadly. I really like that. So one of the other things that I was doing to answer these questions that you guys have, was I would watch all the real estate videos, YouTube videos. And they were great because I felt like the person on the YouTube video, he was at least giving his opinion, right? I didn't feel like he has an agenda. But the problem was he was living in Virginia and I was living in California, and the other guy was living in Florida and I was living in California. Like, it didn't apply to me. I understood his point and he knew his market, but real estate is local. Like I said in the beginning, you need a tool that says your neighborhood, right? It can focus on your neighborhood, what's happening in your area. And to me, and that's why I created this. And I first customers was myself. I was like, I want to make sure I want to get answers for myself. And then, we've had over thousands of users now, and it's been a huge blessing. It's been really, really great feedback from general public so far.
Well, you talk about real estate agents, and you and I have spoken about your program before, and we said, who would want this? I mean, listing agents, if they're, trying to advise their seller on the best time to sell, potentially using a third-party app could be a great tool to help them avoid a potential, a bigger loss in the future. But what I want to get at, I started the show with saying that we're not really going to have agents come on our channel anymore because they can't handle it. We get feedback from these agents because the people that are the public in general is really turned off by our industry in a lot of different ways. I mean, I'm not saying it. The comments come in. So a lot of we bring these agents on to talk about what's really happening in the neighborhood and the market. And they call us up the next day and say, like, why did you put me on your show? I mean, these comments are eating me alive. They say things like, I'm clueless or delusional or whatever. And it's like, what am I supposed to do about it? I mean, all we're trying to do is report the data, tell people. I'm not the one that created the chart that says the median home is you need 7 times your income to buy a median price home in America. I didn't create that. If you open your ears and you are brutally honest with yourself and you sit there and say to yourself, like, geez, I haven't sold a house in a couple months, or geez, my sales are down. Well, what do you think it is? So you want to come on and say everything is great, then the people have slammed the brakes on and said, no, it's not great? Or do you want to just own up to the fact that you need to get your head out of the sand and realize we got some serious problems here? When we see delinquency rates rising on mortgages, we see Fannie Mae bundling up and selling non-performing notes, and we see over 1 million households that would have already lost their home during from the pandemic on, if it hadn't been for some type of loan modification. On what planet do you live on that you can go into a place, sign a contract to pay X amount of dollars a month, realize that you can't, and then all of a sudden they're going to step in, the FHA or the mortgage lender is going to step in and say, we're going to remodify this for you because you can't afford it. We'll work with you. What happened a year and a half ago when you said, I'm going to buy it? I'm going to sign the contract. I mean, what planet do we live on to not be thinking about reality, guys? Right? So as a result, don't come on the show. Yeah. If you come on to my show and you haven't watched at least one show to know what we're all about and what we're here to talk about, what's really going on, then shame on you for being ignorant, right? And so don't come on the show is what I say. But anyway, I guess that was a rant.
It was a rant.
Let me tell you something. I want to tell you guys what my week has been like, all right? So I have buyers that contacted me and they said, well, it's not exactly how it happened. Buyers thought that they could go ahead on their own and go buy a house without me in Maryland. I can't imagine it, but okay, let's just play it out. So what happened was they went to this open house where they met the real estate agent, and something just didn't seem right. So they asked a friend and said, I went and looked at this house. Do you think I need a real estate agent? I'm going, man, this ain't the first house you bought, right? But this is the way the public's thinking. So my friend said, I wouldn't buy a house unless you call Todd. Called me up, said, here's the situation. Something doesn't seem right. All right, what's the deal? Here's the deal. Well, the house is a renovation. And the house is beautifully renovated. But when they pull in the driveway, it's a common driveway that serves a couple different houses. All right? And there's a problem because when you pull into the driveway, it has some unsightly stuff about it. And I asked the agent about it, and the agent said, well, that's not yours if you buy this property, but it's so-and-so's, and they're going to clean it up. They already said they would. They've cleaned up a lot of stuff. All right, well, do you have that in writing? Somebody's going to clean up an eyesore that's right out by your front door. Okay. Well, what about the driveway? Is there a driveway agreement? What's that? Well, that would be if a bunch of people are sharing a driveway, there's usually a driveway agreement, an easement agreement that gives you the right to use it, and who pays for the snow plowing, who pays for the repaving. I don't know. Call the agent up. Hey, is there a driveway agreement on this thing? No. All right, well, who owns the driveway? This guy owns the driveway. Well, great. What about when the driveway falls apart? The driveway's in great shape. That's not what I asked. If my buyers buy the house and they live in it for 10 years, the driveway's not going to be in great shape. Oh, well, it just snowed and everybody pitched in and it got cleared. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. This is weird. So she sends me over this temporary easement agreement, and I'm looking at the temporary easement agreement. I'm like, this looks like a development is about to happen. I call up the county. Sure enough, they got a major subdivision is going to be built. And not only that, but the driveway that everyone's sharing isn't going to be a driveway at all. It's a new 45-foot access back to this new subdivision and 22 feet of roadway. And on each side, it's a 5-foot sidewalk with a strip of grass for the little dogs to walk, right? And so I call the agent back, and I'm like, I don't know, man. You got to clear something up for me. This information that you're giving the potential buyer and me Did you know there's a major subdivision going on this property? No. No. You're going to lose your license. Right? How can you not know that? So either one, she's lying, which I don't want to have to believe that, or two, she's completely oblivious to the fact that her client owns the property and is developing it, or the builder is developing the whole property, and it's already been approved. But let me tell you the bad part about the story, because if it could get any worse. The bad part about the story is none of this is recorded yet. So nothing has been, it's been completely approved, but the exact, and the property lines have changed and everything. So where the potential buyers were thinking the property lines were on this property, or in fact, it weren't the property lines at all.
Wow.
They've done lot line adjustments on it. None of this has been recorded. Somebody would have bought or may still buy this property, completely oblivious that their world is going to change, and what they think they have, they don't. So anyway, that's one thing that has happened in the last week where I just shake my head and go, and people think that they got a problem with real estate agents. It's crazy. You ever heard of such a thing? Anyway, some other people want to see, Arvin, their neighborhoods.
Yeah, there is a question here.
Yeah, there was a good
Backtracking.
question there. Let's answer that.
I'm going to bring it back up here. So, what about neighborhoods within zip codes? There can be huge differences based on age, lot size, updates, etc.
All right, that's a great question. So you got to understand how the data comes. Okay, the data at the smallest division is the zip code level. So unfortunately, we can't do neighborhoods within that zip code. And if a zip code, I mean, I personally don't think there's that much, because you got to understand, we are measuring how the supply and demand is shifting in the area. And regardless of the supply of demand, I mean, you would say it would have to be two completely drastic neighborhoods for that to be a problem. Like, let's say there's a halfway line and half of the zip code is extreme luxury and the other one is like poverty, right? For it to be such a big divide, which you typically don't see. Normally there's a pretty good grade variation within it, right? And I personally think zip code level forecast is very exact, and even sometimes too exact, as to it's sometimes better to zoom out and confirm with the county level, because the more data you have, the more accurate the AI forecast will become. So I don't see that problem unless there's literally it's a zip code that is completely divided, two completely different products in it, which are very rare. And I think most of the zip codes have a good blend of everything, or just consistently one, I would say.
Well, Arvin, you're talking about indicators.
Yeah,
we're not talking about subdivisions. So the subdivisions based on, we're talking about percentages and indicators. We're not talking about a subdivision, because they're correct in one aspect that when you're doing comparable sales, and this is critical because most agents don't know how to do this, but what happens is if you can't just do a radius. So a lot of agents, where I see them making mistakes when they're advising on what you should offer, they say a comp neighborhood sold for this much money, and that's why you should offer this much money. But it's incorrect. You have to look at it the way the appraiser looks at it. You have to draw a polygon, not a radius. You have to draw a polygon, and you should try and stick within the same subdivision. Right. Absolutely. So if it's called Sudbrook subdivision, then you need to look in Sudbrook. You don't go to Newtown and say, oh yeah, well, here's a 2,000 square foot house. It's sold for, oh my gosh, 50,000 more than what they're asking. You can't assume that. But what you're talking about, Arvin, and it's a great question, is indicators. Yeah. So between the neighborhoods, the job indicator is not going to change. Yes. Between the indicators, the
unemployment is not going to change.
Right.
Yeah, the mortgage rates are not going to change. And again, I really think there's a decent blend. Most zip codes I've looked at in the whole country, you would see a pretty cohesive flow of the same type of properties. Obviously, there are more expensive ones than less expensive ones. But, you know, and when people decide to move to an area, they normally do it. Now, I wish it was like by name of neighborhoods. It would have been better, right? But you got to
Go
see where the
nuts.
data comes. The data comes at the zip code level. That's how MLSs grab the data. So that's the best we can do right now.
Yeah. Well, you got look. Yeah. Data by the MLS.
Any other questions?
Yes, we have a super chat here. Does this program include remote, small town, rural farmhouse properties, which is a whole other level of crazy money rise, 200+% from 2017 to 2021?
So when you're signing up, you can check. So for very rural areas, I recommend county level. Okay, if you live in a farm area, I think county level is going to be a lot more accurate for you guys. It doesn't do land; it does single family homes. Okay, just to be clear. So it doesn't give you valuation on land. Now, obviously, there's a correlation between land and single family homes, but it doesn't specializes in land value. It specializes in how likely, how buyer or seller friendly a housing market is going to be in a particular area. And I would say for the most rural areas in United States, if like there's a zip code that you live in and there's maybe 20 different houses or 50 other houses, you might want to zoom out and confirm, check out the zip code, but then confirm it with the county and also acknowledge the county level forecast in it too, to get a bit of broader picture.
When you talk about lots, I mean, typically speaking, if you have a scattered lot in a neighborhood and existing homes are declining in value or not selling, you have probably a way better chance of picking that lot up at a deep discount because nothing else is moving.
And you have to pay for it cash. You cannot finance it. So you're going to get, it's so funny you say that right now. In a ton of people jumped at, I'm known as the real estate agent in LA who talks clients out of buying stuff. I just have to speak my mind. If you see the channel I have, I just say it the way it is. But one of my clients sold a company for $500 million, and he wanted to buy a place in Joshua Tree. He wanted to buy a parcel of land. Joshua Tree, by the way, you guys don't know if you don't live in California, it's like, imagine Palm Deserts, but like before Palm Desert was created, it's just literally desert. It's just like as much land as you want, right? And it's just trending because a lot of cool, Instagram photos have come out, and it's popular. It's kind of cool. I'm not downing the neighborhood. There's some festival happens there. Normally, people go there to kind of maybe do some experimentations and stuff. And he wanted to buy make a $2 million investment there. This is at the peak of the market, and I told him, look, Joshua Tree, you buy that in the down market. Okay. You don't buy land where there's excess of it. There's plenty of land. And then it's really inexpensive. Like you could buy an acre of like desert. There's not even water. There's no roads. Like you can just go buy a parcel in the middle of the desert for like $5,000-$10,000. And I was telling you, I was like, look, this is gravitating buyers who might not have deeper pockets, and it's going to bring them in over here. And when the economy goes down, and this is like, by the way, 2022, where the economy is booming. And I told him, like, I don't think you should buy it. And I was so negative on it. He didn't buy it with me. He bought it with another agent, and he bought a $1 million parcel. He called me and he's like, Arvin, I just think I lost like half of the value. I think I can buy the same lot I bought for half right now, because in recession, when people need cash, they will sell the land and they get 100% of it back because there's no loan on it too. But when there's no buyers for it, right? And who would want to spend cash on a land that they can't even use right now? So it's I think land values are actually, if you can get really, really deep pockets, a good investment. But the problem with it is you just got to sit on it for many years or fix it up. And,
well, on the land, just buying the land is one thing. But what I'm really kind of saying is if you buy it to build a house, which you can get a loan for, right? I mean, so if you're buying a property and you're hiring a builder, and I think
plans and everything, yes, you can.
That's a very viable. I think that as we go into, my prediction is that as we go into the next several months, we're going to see construction. What I felt like saying to the guy that priced the shed was,
It's a
Idiot.
$14,000 shed.
Like, you idiot. Like, you're going to give me you're really going to tell me that a shed is almost $15,000 for a 12-foot by 20-foot shed? Okay. Well, what that's telling me is that there has been enough people that says, that's freaking ridiculous. No thanks. That's what we need to do. We need to say, no, thank you. Good luck peddling that garbage to somebody that doesn't care, right? Because so when we're looking at what's going to happen is every single day I have contractors that are calling me up saying they're out of work. They have no, I mean, these are people that you couldn't even find. I'm like, remember me? I've kept you guys fed for years. And all of a sudden now I need something done, and we're busy now. Call me up, hey, my friend, I haven't heard from you in 2 years, and now I'm your friend. Give me your work, give me a break. See you later. Good riddance, right? This is what's gonna happen, right? I'm telling you what's gonna happen. I've seen it before. What's going to happen, because prices. You can't control that. These contractors, I had a guy who was so pompous, called me up and he said, man, he goes, I just put $20,000 on a job and I got it. He's like, so I figured I'm not charging enough. What is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? What we can't control is how much a 2x4 costs, because they're going to put regulations on that and they're going to control that. But look, I believe everybody's entitled to a profit, but I'm sorry. You wait. You've been gouging me for the last couple of years. All right. We'll see what happens now in about 6 months when you guys are out of work and you're calling up saying, oh, yeah, that project that I gave you a price on, the shed that I said I'd build for $15,000, the fence that I said I would build for $25,000, the materials cost $10,000. You're going to make $15,000 for 3 days of work?
Yeah. It's
That's
coming,
crazy.
Todd. It's coming. I think
It's coming, man.
we've been, unfortunately, most of the people are going to get hurt. I think most of the good people are going to get hurt. Where it's the game is made in a way that is almost impossible to win. I have, I'm a real estate agent. I'm a content creator, and I have a prop tech, right? 3 venues of income, right? And it's hard. It's hard work, right? And I have 2 kids, a wife. It's just, I can't imagine how everyone else is doing. It's really not easy. And I feel like a rug pull is coming, and the banks are going to get bailed out. The people are going to be left behind, like last time. And it's unfortunate. All I think we can do is just be ready, be prepared, have a plan, a financial plan, real estate plan, have cash on the side, stay low on debt, right? Don't rack up those credit cards. Try to close the credit cards as much as you can. Find a side hustle, find something, for example, another element is like, I sell 20 million dollar homes, right? I sell really expensive houses in Los Angeles, and in that market has slowed down, right? And I see other agents who didn't have a side project. Like, thankfully, I've created Zipsmart.ai, because again, I've always been into forecasting my heads. Like, but now I have a software. But year and a half ago, 2 years ago, this thought came that this, like, the economy is going to turn around. This is not going to last long. So I planted the seed a year and a half ago. I was like, you know what? I want to be, when this change comes, I want to have the solution for the people, because their solution does not exist right now. There's no real estate agents are going to say, what helps them make money. The Zillow and Redfin don't care about people, right? They don't care about, and their algorithms suck. I mean, they're ridiculously bad. And I was like, what if I could help people create a software that helps me help other people, where you can better time the market, right, than other humans can, and thankfully the software has been doing excellent, and it's been doing really, really good, and it's helping me subsidize the income from the houses that I haven't sold, because who wants to buy a $20 million house when they can put, like, I have a $50 million buyer. This is an interesting story. $50 million buyer. And it's actually from my channel. He found me on my channel. I was reviewing.
I don't know why you deal with people that make such,
Yeah.
I mean, they're such slouches, man. 50 more.
This guy
actually help people that only have budgets of $50 million. I mean, that's crazy, man.
This guy sold his medical company. He had a medical. He's a doctor, he's a surgeon, but he diversified into other real estate, medical real estate, and he sold this company for, I think, about 400 or 500 million as well. And then he reached out to me. He's like, I love your channel, like, you critique homes, and this is my budget. This is what I'm looking to buy. And the houses I show him, he's like, Arvin, I have a problem. I'm like, what's your problem? He's like, I'm lending the money. I'm getting such a great rate right now. Why would I go buy a house that I'm going to live in? He lives in like a $20 million house. But why would I go live in a $50 million house when I'm making, 5% of treasury bills on this right now, right? So it's again, it's the luxury.
Maybe he'd be interested in a 12 by 20 shed.
Yeah, we should get him the shed. We should get him the shed.
I mean, hey, he can afford that with no problem, even at $15,000. Now we're going to ship it out to you, so that's going to cost $50,000.
Oh. But yeah, that's what's good. So the luxury market is hovering. So I think it's important to have side hustles. It's important to have something that you can grow into. I thankfully do everything real estate. So I'm all focused on one subject, even though there's 3 different jobs. I'm a real estate agent, but I sell single family homes. My YouTube channel is about single family homes, and my software is about single family homes. So it all comes together where it's focused still, but
Arvin, I have a neat little story. I know somebody that in Colorado that's offering a director position for $160,000 a year. Maybe no, it was $170 a year. And I think there were 6 applicants that they were considering, or that they offered the job to consecutively. And not one of them took the job. They said, you know what? I can't afford to move here. $170,000 job. They're like, I can't afford to buy a house here.
Todd, people think we make a lot of money in Los Angeles, but you don't understand the expenses over here. The money just goes. I don't know where it goes. It's leaves.
Taken.
It's just they take it.
It's taken is what happens. They take
money out of you. Like I'm when I said $6,000 in insurance, I think I pay more than that actually. I think I pay about $3,500 for health insurance. Okay, for family of 4. I have 2 cars. I have 2 houses, right? And my tenant, by the way, hasn't paid rent in about a year, and I can't kick her out, right? So it's like, and I'm paying the insurance for both houses, obviously, because I don't want my house to catch fire or something happen to it, right? So it's like, I think I'm paying about $7,000 a month just for insurance. Just for insurance. I think groceries over here in Los Angeles, I think it's at least $3,000 a month. Everything I go to groceries to buy something is like $200, and it's like one bag. I don't know how my wife goes with $500.
I have a pet peeve. So look, every now and then, I mean, I know I got a great figure and all, but I like potato chips, man. That's like a weakness of mine, right? I mean, I'm like a big potato chip guy.
We've got some stock here of inventory.
Here's what really aggravates me. Open the bag. First of all, it's all crumbs. Who's handling this stuff? They're potato chips. They're supposed to be not crumbs, right? And you open the bag and you get a bag and it's like this. I mean, it's crazy, man. This is a disgrace.
Todd,
this is a disgrace. This is a disgrace.
Todd, this is even crazier. So I don't know why I'm sharing this with the audience, but going through a midlife crisis.
You like potato chips too?
I don't eat potato chips, but going through a midlife crisis. I'm 41 years old. So like, instead of buying a Ferrari, trying to buy a fast car or something, I decided to go to the gym, right? And I was like, not just go to the gym, but like do actual proper bodybuilding. So I live in Venice Beach. It's right next to Gold's Gym, where, Arnold is there every day, and like there's like they call it the Mecca of bodybuilding. It's like the most famous gym in the world. So it's like 5 minutes away from my house. So I go there all the time. So I was working out for 6 months. I was not getting much results. I was like, maybe I should get a trainer, right? Like I'm not getting much results. And he looks at my diet and he's like, you're not eating enough. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not eating enough? I'm trying to lose weight. He's like, no. If you want to gain weight and muscle, you need to eat and you won't put on fat. I was like, what? Explain this to me. I was like, I was having 1,500 calories a day. He's like, you need to eat 4,300 calories a day. I'm like,
don't stop working out, man. You'll freaking do. You'll be
4,300 calories a day. So anyways, he gives me this diet and goes back to the grocery store. Basically, I have to eat about 2 pounds of chicken every day, right? So the first day I go to the grocery store and I go to the guy. I'm like, okay, so I want to buy like for 2 days, right? I can't go to the grocery store every day. So I go to the guy. I'm like, 7 pounds of, marinated chicken breast, please. And then he's like, and 2 pounds of ground beef, 95% fat free. And then he gives it back to me. He like comes back. And then 2 days later, I go back to the grocery store. I'm like, 7 pounds of chicken breast, 2 pounds of ground beef. And then he's like, you guys like to entertain, huh? I was like,
you need to buy some chickens, man.
I ate all of that.
You need some chickens.
And then my wife is like, what? My wife is like, I thought weight loss, we're gonna save some money. You're eating about.
Dude, if you think you're going through midlife crisis at 42, wait another 15 years. All right.
It's good, man. I'm trying to stay clean and pump up the testosterone as much as you can. So this like muscle exercise is good for guys. It really helps to keep your testosterone levels good. Instead of taking medicals and pills and stuff. So, I did some research and it works. I used to run a lot. I used to run like 3 miles every day. And now I do weight training. I'm much more happier, much more energy. This became, by the way, like a.
Look, man, you're going to lose my
Superman
audience if you keep talking about how good looking you are. All right, buddy? They're used to looking at me every week. So let's move on, can we? I've heard enough. I got a barf bag over here I'm about to use, all right?
I have a cold plunge. We do sauna.
Cryotherapy. I mean, come on, man. You get manicures, pedicures. I mean, tell us.
My wife wants me to get pedicures. I'm like, I refuse to. I'm not doing that, dude. I'm not.
All right. I think we're going to take a caller or two, aren't we?
Okay.
Let's take a caller. I think that's a
Do we have
good
any
choice.
callers?
No, we haven't even released the.
We haven't released it. You guys
You want
We're
to
gonna do
review
it
another
right
zip
now.
code?
Yeah, we can review another zip code, but let's publish up a link if you guys, somebody wants to jump on here and talk to us live. We'll be glad to give you 5 minutes. We love our audience, but sometimes, man, we can't. Is Johnny Fly even on here? He's probably one of the only ones that said he's happy with the current economy and the cost of life's necessities. Let's look at that poll.
Yeah, let's pull up the poll.
What did he say?
He's posting the link, and he's going to put up the poll.
All right.
In two.
Right, here we go. Here we go. Anyway, brother, you do good, man. Look, I mean, I'm just saying, Arvin. I mean,
It's.
I'll be in Venice. What was it called with Arnold?
It's called Gold's Gym.
Gold's Gym. All right.
It's where did you ever watch Pumping Iron? The movie? That's
no.
It's like it's the gym that made bodybuilding famous and popular.
All right.
It's massive, huge gym, and it's like it's a show to just go there. I'm the smallest guy.
Gravity wins, brother. Yeah. Ultimately, gravity wins.
And,
so we
and
keep
on
the
another
wolves
note,
at the door.
I mean,
but,
we've got someone here saying fasting is great. You don't need so much food. I mean, that's a whole other end of the spectrum. Fasting.
I don't know anybody that does
I was doing that. I was at a 1,500 calories per day for 6 months, which I got results. But now I'm on a 4,300 calories a day, and I'm losing weight. It's crazy. I do not understand how this works, but it's working. Supposedly, if you keep feeding your body's like, this guy's crazy, and
it kills you.
No, it's
it detonates.
Your body basically says, don't store any fat, don't store any of this, just burn it, because he keeps feeding you. and that way you just burn all the food and gives you a lot of energy, so you can lift heavier at the gym, and you don't get fat.
That's what I do, man.
It's working.
I get organic chocolate bars, potato chips. I like all that kind of stuff.
Here's the poll.
All right, there we go. All right,
Thank you,
here we
Joe.
go. Are you happy with the price of life's necessities and the state of our U.S. economy? No politics. 90% of the people say no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
And you guys can cruise on over and vote. That's 690 votes. If you haven't dropped your vote, I mean, it's a valid question. And I can't stand politics. I mean,
I've given
the only
up.
thing
I
that's
don't
broken is
even think about it anymore.
it doesn't matter. I mean, do we have a say anyway? I mean, does it really matter? I mean, the point is that things suck, man.
Yeah.
Nobody's happy. 90% of the people out of 700 votes are saying they're not happy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a pretty good sampling. I think we have a very educated audience.
And I think, and then you ask the general public, you know, the politicians. There's no recessions. There's nothing going on. Economy is sizzling.
Well,
Did you hear that last time they were saying the
in-
economy is sizzling? That pissed me off.
If
I'm
we
like, there's
bring the
nothing
politics
sizzling
in,
here.
everybody wants to fight. Everybody wants to fight. Everybody wants to hate each other, not love each other, not realize that, you know, we're all in this thing together. So I think leaving the politics out of it, I don't know how you could say, regardless of whether you want to blame one party or the next party or who got us into this mess, who got us. And the bottom line is they have a system that is clearly doesn't include affordability in the United States. When we're looking at, we shouldn't have to make the kind of money that we need to make to just live and save a little bit of money and not be stressed out.
You know,
Shouldn't be
Todd,
the
they're
way.
going to come up
It's
with 40.
ridiculous.
They already have 40-year mortgages. They're going to come 50-year mortgages soon. I won't be surprised in the next 5 years we'll have 50-year mortgages. The only way people would be able to afford a house.
It's the only way.
The only way.
You're exactly right.
The only way to do it is to have 50-year mortgages, which is more than
That'd be
average life
guaranteed
in a
by
lot
the
of
government.
countries, you know?
And then
You
if people
buy it
can't
and-
pay those, they'll bundle them up and sell them to Wall Street.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great idea.
If you did not buy a house, you literally have to get so lucky to buy one now. It's so difficult. I feel for everyone who has not been fortunate to own a house right now, because it's just almost impossible. Like almost impossible to buy a house. It's so expensive that with interest rates higher, we can't even afford our own house right now. I can't buy my own house again.
Yeah. Let's bring Aaron. Is that Aaron that's on here?
Yes, sir. It's me, Todd. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself? Sorry
I'm
about
great,
the poor
buddy.
lighting. I'm with roommates, so I went out to the truck where I have a little privacy. So, anyways, Melissa brought me on. Was wanting to talk to you about some of the stuff I'm seeing here in New Mexico regards the construction industry. I work for a company that delivers construction materials to new home sites. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we can hear you.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
we hear you.
All right, awesome. So I worked for this. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but I work for the largest construction materials provider in the state, and I worked here before for about a year and a half, about almost 2 years. Went and took a contract on a Home Depot haul, and then came back once that Home Depot haul was canceled. So over the last 2 building seasons, which, as you say, go from about late January on into October, November, depending on the weather. We do have 4 seasons here. I've seen it slow down quite a bit. So the first time I was working for this provider, I had one job, and that was to deliver lumber only. went on that other contract. That other contract got terminated um, before, and I'll tell you that in just a little bit. Came back. When I came back, this company's not laying people off, but it's more of an attrition situation. So when I came back, there were fewer drivers on the lumber side where I was before. And now I'm covering 3 stores. So I do walls and trusses in Albuquerque and Santa Fe. I do the line haul to Santa Fe from the railhead here in Albuquerque and deliver up there. And I also do lumber for both Albuquerque and Santa Fe.
I think
The
we're
business cycle
losing
being
you.
the way that it is. Uh-oh.
Yeah, your just connection went out for
Can
a
you hear me?
moment.
hear you
Fine.
Hear me better now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think the reason why is because even though, let's say a guy gets a offered a position somewhere else and he takes it, they're not filling that position. So because of the pace of business, they're starting to pull. That's one thing that I've noticed. The pace of business as far as delivery.
Yeah, you're breaking up really bad.
Yeah.
We can hardly hear you.
Compared to 2023. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
we can't
breaking
hear
up
you.
really bad. So let me
I'm sorry,
ask you.
my
So,
brother.
Aaron, so you're noticing a big slowdown in building materials being delivered. You cover a very large area, and so what you're experiencing is that things have really slowed down.
Yes, absolutely. And the other contract I
And
was
you're
on, I was
supplying
on.
stores. Do you supply stores? Is that what you do? You say to building sites, but is it from the store to the building site, or are you more
No,
of a manufacturer?
it's a lumber wholesaler.
Okay.
So think along the lines of Blue Links, Builders First Source, Racks. They're direct sale to construction companies is where I'm working at now. So we deliver directly to Pulte, D.R. Horton, LGI, all your home builders in the area.
Yeah,
Can you hear me better now?
Yep. Of which we just it's in the news that I mean we've seen Warren Buffett sold 6 million shares, almost 6 million shares of D.R. Horton's shares. I mean, that's crazy, right? He just bought them last year, I think it was, and everybody was wondering, like, why would he be doing that?
Yeah.
And interest rates are going up, and the housing market's so unstable, and he just liquidated 6 million shares.
Well, I don't know. I've heard some things about what he did. Maybe he made his money and he's figured that it's time to get out. But the other
When
thing
you
I
can
was
make
going to
more
tell
money
you guys
if it
about,
continues to go up. I mean,
you could.
well, we appreciate you checking in with us, man, definitely, and
Yep.
stay safe out there.
Thank you. Yeah, he's
think
gone.
we lost him.
Yeah.
I mean, this is somebody obviously that is seeing a major slowdown out on the road, delivering materials, and it's what we're seeing. I mean, I don't want to say that, but we are seeing that prices, what the builder wants and what they're getting is there's a discrepancy right now in a lot of communities. All right, do we have anybody else on there? Bill?
We have another.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
How's it going?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
What's happening?
Terrific.
Where are you calling from?
I'm actually. I can hear an echo. I'm sorry.
What's you got to do, Joe? She's got something playing.
I'm actually calling from Harvard Square, Cambridge, Mass.
Oh, hello.
How you doing?
I've, I've heard your show a number of times, but didn't know that you did a live broadcast. And Arvin, I just want to say I'm blown away by your application.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I lived in Boston for 2 years, actually. Where in Cambridge are you in? I lived in
Do
Boston
you have
for 2
YouTube
years.
open? Do you have YouTube open at the same time you're on StreamYard? Maybe
I'm
close the
literally-
YouTube link. Get rid of that echo by closing
Okay,
out
I'll
YouTube.
close that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah.
Yes,
There we go. We got you.
much.
All right. All right. I have to say, this feels like a homecoming. You guys are the smartest guys in the room, and that's what everyone here at Harvard says about themselves. So I am honored to be able to be on camera for a minute or two here.
We appreciate
So-
you.
Are any of you aware that this is the 26th annual National Consumer Protection Week?
No.
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 So imagine there's a homebuyer association that comes out of the 20 class action lawsuits that are currently against the real estate industry. Those are multi-billion-dollar settlements. So imagine we have a new foundation of some sort whose mission it is to protect homebuyers. My sense is you guys have that kind of DNA. So my question to you is, if you were on the board of directors, can you name 3 things you'd like people to think about homebuyers looking at the current housing market? What should they do to protect themselves this spring and the next 2 years? And I can take the answer off camera if you'd like.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I say is that you should have 5 to 6 months of cash in the bank after all purchase expenses, your down payment, your closing costs, moving costs, boxes, you name it. You should still, when you move into that house, you should have 5 to 6 months of bill money in the event of a financial downturn, some type of hardship. One of you loses a job, you lose your job. I think that there are a lot of people that are very unprepared to enter home ownership. That's number one. Number two, it's really critical, and that's figuring that out up front before you even go looking at a house. You can do a lot of that legwork online, looking at price points, talk to a great loan officer, get pre-qualified, be comfortable with your payment before you even go out on that deep dive for the perfect home. The second part to that is, in this industry, there are so many people that shouldn't be representing buyers or sellers that have licenses to sell real estate. I mean, we're one of the lowest barriers to entry. I know it's terrible to say that, but it's the truth.
It's true.
And what happens is they have a tendency to make a decision on who is going to help them navigate this sale based on relationship, based on mom's best friend that lives 2 counties away, based on their friend from college, a friend from high school. They're hiring people for the biggest transaction in their life that hasn't a clue. I just spoke about an agent that didn't even know a major subdivision, or said she didn't know a major subdivision was being built behind a house that she's selling. That's toxic, right?
Yeah.
Part of your licensing is you're required to know what's happening in your market and on a nationwide level. Very few agents do that, right? They have somebody that doesn't have commission breath, somebody that can represent and put the client, their needs ahead of their own. And
Right.
that's hard to find nowadays. It seems even more apparent that it's hard to find because sales are down and agents have to pay their own bills. In fact, I just had an agent ask me why I'm even in the business, because they said, well, it's obvious that you don't like real estate agents. That is the farthest from the truth. You don't know who I am. First of all, I think real estate agents are a integral part of a transaction. I think you need to be represented by the right. I don't think any of my clients will tell you that they're not happy that they had me help them in a transaction. In fact, I don't think I've had one that said that. And what happens is that's number two. And number three, you have to know that you can't move from that house in 3 years like most people are geared to do. Most people think, Well, the young people, they move so much. They just moved out of mom and dad's. They went to college. They moved 3 or 4 times while they went through a 4 year college because they first stayed in a dorm, then they stayed with this group of friends, then that group of friends, or they got a house for their senior year. It's not like that. So people need to realize that where they buy a house, especially if they're going to buy at the top of the market, they need to plan to be there 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. They don't know what they want to be when they're in ninth grade. How do they know where they're going to be or want to be in a house that they buy at 24, 25 years old? So I think they're the big three for me that I would advocate, and I do advocate that these buyers slow down. Look, honestly, I could care less, Bill. If you bought 3 houses in your lifetime, bought 1 house in a lifetime, and you've lived there, go ahead, do what you're going to do, make your decisions accordingly. But we don't spend enough time with their first-time buyers to educate them. It's kind of backwards. Arvin, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Sure. Bill, thank you for your question. Very good question. So I believe the way the industry was set up so far has created hype man instead of analysts. Okay. Okay.
I I laugh because I have a master's in city planning and I love the data, and that's why I can't wait to be a client of yours. So go ahead.
Yeah. So the way I see most real estate agent behaving, and this is not to bring their value down. I think as a real estate agent, even as a hype man, they're great at negotiations, the good ones. They know how to negotiate. They make their money for their client. They represent them well. They do the inspections really good. But in nature, they are not analysts, right? They're not analytical, and they can't care less till you get in escrow. I feel like real estate agents really start caring once you get in escrow, right? Because then their job kind of starts. To solve the residential real estate problem, I believe is first of all, I think a lot of companies have come up and gone, and they try to make the real estate transaction more efficient, and it does need help. But real estate transactions have been happening for thousands, hundreds, and thousands of years. It's I wouldn't call improving the process of a real estate transaction the problem. I will call a real estate problem is when someone buys a house and finds out everything that is wrong with it after they buy it. Okay, that's a problem. And with my entire focus as a content creator is to educate the general public as far as what type of houses to buy and when to buy, right? So I have in my YouTube channel, Arvin Haddad. I critique properties. I critique mansions. Now, I specialize in mansions. That's what I sell. But it's actually really interesting because mansions, everything is bigger and exaggerated. So when I critique it, the same thing applies for smaller homes. And let me ask you now a question. Have you ever used the software? Have you ever used TripAdvisor or Yelp to go to?
Very rarely, but yes,
Okay.
right.
Have you ever used Yelp for reviewing a business?
Yes.
Okay. Have you
Usually
ever used?
I offer compliments. Yeah.
Yeah. So have you ever used Michelin Star to go to see if you're going to go to a Michelin Star restaurant?
I have not, but I'm certainly familiar with peer reviews. Yes.
Exactly. So no, it's not peer review. It's more of a analytical review, right?
I see.
We have Rotten Tomatoes for movies, right?
Right.
How come the largest asset class, which is residential real estate, how come no one analyzes the homes that come on the market?
The homes or the agents or both?
No, the homes that come on the market for sale. How come you, as an audience, right? You're sitting down there. How come you don't have an unbiased third-party service that reviews that house and gives you an unbiased opinion? You have it for cryptocurrencies. You have it for commodities. You have it for every stock. I mean, just Google Tesla stock. and you can probably find 100 analysts just analyzing the Tesla stock. All right. How
Yeah.
come we don't have it for residential real estate? So
So, Arvin, going to come back at you as a real estate tech innovator, and this isn't to say I'm trying to prove you wrong. I'm trying to push us all into the future.
sure.
And let me back off by saying I think what the moment needs, and you're an embodiment of it, is we need a home buyer bill of rights for an AI-enabled 21st century. You have just put the right to informed decision making at a new bar. That if we have AI, that we can not only make a first pass at rating that home, but then we can personalize it because maybe Todd's criteria is different than a client you're working with.
Well, that's and what you just said there, I think, in contrast to what Arvin is saying, is that you can't. Everybody's situation is different because we're dealing with human beings. So you can't analyze an investment into cryptocurrency the same way that you can analyze a property as its value to someone that sees its value. I think it's understanding everyone's personal needs, and that's the job of the agent, is to establish what is it that you're looking for. What is it that checks your boxes? Maybe they want to tear the property down and build another house. Maybe they're going to go in and completely renovate it, and they have the ability to do so. So I think that it's hard to just put analyzing a property aside from an appraisal that is protecting the bank or the lender at that snapshot of time, or for all that matters, a buyer's ability to pay over the course of 30 years or signing a contract for that. So I think it's not, you can take machine learning and you can do so much with machine learning, but unless the actual user has trained the machine learning for them to identify their specific needs, and we're probably, I don't want to say decades away from that, but 5 or 10 years probably away from that at the very least.
Todd, some people are already talking about algorithms, personal algorithms. So no, there are actually people working on this. And if that's what, if you want to have a session sometime on what might personal algorithm do to empower homebuyers to make more informed decisions, as Arvin is his own mission statement, I think it's a very exciting time right now, and I'm glad the DOJ is resetting the boundaries on how we all get paid, and let's see where this goes.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think the Bill, you've kind of touched on a really dear topic to my heart. I definitely have plans to grow Zipsmart to far beyond just the when. Right now, Zipsmart helps you with the when, right? Is it in the next 12 months? Is it going to get better or worse? But I have grand plans for this software to grow and this company to grow into a lot more than that, right? So right now, manually, I review almost every mansion that comes on the market in Los Angeles area, and I think most viewers who are not even in the price category to buy it, they like watching it because they learn from it, right? They're like, okay, this is what I have to look for when I'm buying a house. So there are not that many agents who will come and say the flaws of a property, right? So you only learn how to become a good residential investor or buyer by knowing what the flaws are and what to look for and what not to look for, right? Or what would be a benefit, right? So I would love to take the conversation out, but yeah, this is something that I dream about and I'm working actively towards creating, where you could have an unbiased third party housing score for a house you're about to buy.
Yeah. Wow. Great topic. And if I can stretch your last comment in one future trajectory where some listeners might appreciate it, is yes, we can rate houses and we can create crime maps, but we also need to create the opposite of that. We need to figure out where are welcoming communities and healthy places to raise our kids, and use AI at artificial intelligence, not just artificial, but artificial intelligence. So thank you very much for letting me join you tonight.
We appreciate you calling
thank you
in,
so
Bill.
much for adding
Thank you,
to the
Bill.
conversation.
Great questions.
Okay, thanks.
Take care.
That's great.
All right, that was good.
Yeah.
Yep. Do have a question here for you, Arvin. Does your new app give ratings on agents around areas to search for?
No, I mean, we've probably have a million ways to monetize it that way. We haven't yet. It's a new startup, but yeah, I mean, we don't sell any ads on the software, but it's not something we haven't thought about. But I would, it would have to be, if I do that in the future, it would have to be a vetted real estate agent in the area where we have a strong relationship with, where we know and we trust that they would be doing you guys a service to serve you. And we're just been so focused on the tech. I think this is the third version that you're actually seeing of Zipsmart. So it's extremely time consuming to work. And I've had a team of developers working on this, day and night for the past year and a half. Our quant guy actually comes from the financial sector. He's actually a genius smart guy. He's a quant analyst for a hedge fund for the financial side. And the way I convinced them, and he was interested to come help us build the quant, the engine, the brain behind it, was that he wanted to learn about real estate, where he could build future algorithms to calculate iBuyer companies to see if they should short them or invest in it. So he basically, the agreement we had and we still have, and he's still working with us, was that look, I'll help you build this. You teach me the real estate, and I will build the model for you. And so yeah, it's taken a very long time, and we're a very smart startup. I've been bootstrapping the startup I haven't raised any money. I've turned down 4 VC firms so far to raise money. I've been paying for it. It's been expensive, but I think raising a round is on the horizon. I think now that we have a finished product, version 3.0, to really do the website justice and really give it wings to fly, and really put my my effort where my mouth is when I say I want to solve the problem in residential real estate of resident buyer and seller remorse. To do that, I need to really take it to the bring in the funds to really take that stab, as far as not just helping you guys with the when, but also helping you guys with the home quality score, the neighborhoods that this viewer asked a great question earlier, to really take it to the next level. So yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute here, because there is a question. So how do you plan on using this model? So you said this was the third version. Who are you
Yeah.
marketing it to? Have you done the
So
hard launch?
we're using it for B2C, right? We have a B2B application for it that we've developed to pitch it, but it looks very different. Basically, it uses the raw data more than the interactive map. This is from our use case so far. Buyers and investors love this. They've really enjoy it, and we've made it super affordable. I mean, considering how expensive a residential real estate mistake is, I think the county plan, which is going to be more than enough for most of you guys, is $9.99 for 6 months. There's no monthly plan on that. You have to buy it as a package of 6 months. But that's $16.50 per month for helping you make a better real estate decision. I think it's really inexpensive.
You said 99. You said $9.99, so it's $99. You said $9.99. Yeah.
Sorry, $99 for
That's
6
a big
months.
difference.
Yeah,
That's a big difference.
$99 for 6 months, and it comes down to 16.5 per month. But you have to pay semi-annually, and you get a 20% discount on that with Sachs. It's the first time actually we've offered a discount ever. So yeah,
That's a great. You should, man. It's amazing. Good job.
It really sells itself.
Mhm.
If you go to the website Zipsmart.ai, it's a premium, so there's no landing page. You can actually, the state level is for free. You can mess around with it. You can play around with it before purchasing it as well. It's a very easy user interface, very straightforward, but it's mostly designed for you guys, for regular folks, right? Again, I think I could sell it to at much higher prices to other people, but that was always what was in line with me, with my heart, and the mission is to really solve this problem. So I've purposely made the county level, and you will see a big price difference between county and regional, which is more better for investors. And if and you get a huge discount if you pay on a get a 40% discount if you pay yearly for investors. Again, we've sold quite a few of the national plans and the regional plans as well. It's been selling itself. I mean, people come to the site, they play around with it. They're like, okay, how expensive is a mistake in residential real estate? 1% in the property price if you buy, today or 6 months from now, and this app really helps you, then, pays 200 times over, $60 or $99 plus 20% tax.
We got a question here, buddy, coming in for you. Ask Arvin, how many foreign buyers are buying LA homes?
We got a huge rush of Chinese back in the day, and as soon as China changed the laws, we've that almost completely stopped. We get a couple trigger down from Singapore and Vietnam, Chinese in origin, but they had businesses in other countries that are coming in. Russians used to be a big section. They've completely stopped, and there are few actually Russians who are trying to sell. Then we've had plenty of Europeans. I would say they come in waves. It's really interesting. So we had a French wave, that came in. They basically started the, wealth tax in France, or increased it at some point. And we had a huge amount of French. I've helped multiple French citizens purchase properties over here. What else do we have? We have British, we have French. We get a lot of New Yorkers. I mean, East Coast people coming in, and we get a lot of Bay Area people. Probably the biggest flow to Southern California is tech guys who want to live somewhere cooler than Bay Area and want better weather and more entertainment. So I get a lot of my clients from are like tech billionaires, that millionaires, very successful people who sell a company and they want to have a house in Los Angeles or move to Los Angeles for, just the lifestyle is much more fun in LA than San Francisco. So yeah, but foreign nationals, we don't get so many South Americans. I know Miami gets a ton of South Americans, but LA is, pretty currently. The Gulf countries. Obviously, the Gulf countries. We've always had a huge presence of the Saudis, the Kuwaitis, the Qataris, the Bahrainis, and Dubai and Abu Dhabi. We've always had a good influx, and there's a month in summertime over here where you see them, and they fly in their even cars, and they come over in Beverly Hills, and it's the show, guys. You gotta come see it.
We got another question here. I need a home for 1031 money. I guess they mean a 1031 exchange.
Yeah.
Any thoughts as to?
Yeah.
So 1031 is not the easiest thing to do. What it is, if you have an investment property, it's a non-owner occupied, a rental, some type of commercial property. You can sell that asset and roll your profits into another property. We have a really good 1031 exchange recommendation. His name's Jeff Steckman. So Jeff has he's done a few things for me, as well as we send a lot of people his way. You have to hire an intermediary. You can't touch the money. Again, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a 1031 exchange intermediary. It is scary because they take your money. So when you settle on your property, you're not entitled to take your proceeds. You ship it off to the intermediary, which, by the way, is not FDIC insured. And so there isn't really a lot of protection. So you better pick somebody that has a reputation, because I think the criteria to be a 1031 intermediary is probably about as much as becoming a real estate agent. I could be wrong, but I would just be careful with that. But you have to identify, here's the problem with it. And anytime that they come up with a tax saving program for anyone, to where, in the Internal Revenue Service code, that you can avoid paying taxes, it comes with a lot of strings attached. So there's a couple different rules with it. The problem is that you have to, after you close on the property, you only have 45 days to name subject properties that you're going to purchase. And what happens is that clock is ticking, and a lot of times investors make bad decisions because they've got to identify these properties. You can identify, if you're not doubling your money, so you sell a property for $500,000 and you want to roll that into it, maybe you have $150,000 in profit, you want to avoid paying taxes, you want to roll that into another purchase, so long as it's not more than double what you sold for, so you're not more than $1 million, you can name unlimited amount of subject properties. If you want to more than double your purchase, you want to sell a $500,000 property and you want to buy $1.2 million, you can only identify 3 properties. So that becomes even more difficult. And that's something that doesn't usually work out.
Yeah, it's really a kind of a time bomb goes off, right?
Yeah.
You have to negotiate pretty much 3 houses, 3 properties at the same time, get 3 properties in escrow at the same time, and do inspections on 3 properties at the same time. But look, sometimes the tax savings are so much that it's worth doing. I mean, I know a ton of my clients do it, but mostly with commercial property and not so much with single family home. You have to be renting it for, I think, at least 2 years to qualify as a single family home or a condo. But then at that point, I believe you can do a 1031 exchange to any other type of property as long as it's income producing. So you can go from single family home. Again, not a tax person. You should talk to a tax person yourself, but I believe it has to be rented for 2 years before you could move forward.
Yeah, all the stars have to align to take advantage of it.
Yes.
All the stars. All right, so what else we got?
We got, Arvin, got a great question for you here. How many luxury LA homes do you own?
So, you know, what I'm going to tell you guys, you might come across as luxury here, but these are very mediocre homes. Okay, so don't get fooled by the price because it's not considered luxury here. Okay, luxury in Los Angeles is, we're talking about 7-8 million and up, right? I own 2 homes that are pretty much about same prices. One is about in Venice Beach, which is around $3 million, and it's tiny. You would be, if you see it, you'd be like, you pay $3 million for that? Oh, I paid 2.5 for it, right? But it's Venice Beach, very expensive area as far as neighborhood goes, and the other one is probably worth about I would say 2.7. Again, that one is much bigger, about 5,200 square feet, 1 story on a 16,000 square foot lot home, but it's completely dated. Like it definitely needs a lot of love. But I've been renting it, and my tenant hasn't paid me rent for about 10 months, which is horrible.
It's horrible for sure.
Yeah, I'm laughing, but I'm not really laughing.
We just want to take a moment to
Whoa! Enjoy case off.
Yeah, that's very recent news, and it's huge. So
Yeah, humbling.
Congrats,
Incredibly.
guys. I'm so happy to be on air with you guys. I feel part of the family. This is great.
It is amazing. I mean, we've worked so hard, and Charlton, you've been with us for a very long time, and we really appreciate you and all of our subscribers.
Yep.
It hasn't been easy. I mean, you think about how much content is on YouTube and how many creators are really amazing and how much valuable information that they have, and they never achieve the success that we've been so blessed to have. I think in the last 28 days, we've had about 2 million minutes viewed. No, I'm sorry, not 2 million minutes, much more than that.
Much
2
more.
million views.
Yeah.
So in the last YouTube does it by 28 days. We've had 2 million views, and we've had about 600,000 watch hours,
Wow.
which is a lot.
It's a lot.
And we're really just so fortunate. It's humbling. And I haven't really, I really haven't said anything about it because I think it's just I don't want to take advantage of bragging about, because it really isn't about bragging. It's about you guys. And we're just really grateful. So we thank you. Thanks for everybody spending their time with us.
I think what people don't understand, and or as another fellow creator, how hard of a grind it is. It takes years of persistence, day in, day out, when there's no light at the end of the tunnel, where you're grinding, you have a message, you have a voice, and you're trying to pass that on, and people see the success at the end, but they don't see all the really hard work behind it. So congrats on you guys. It's a huge milestone.
Thank you.
As you can see, my YouTube page only has like 5,000, 6,000.
Yeah.
So
we remember those days. We remember when we got 1,000. But I tell you, I got to give a lot of the credit to Joe. You guys hear his name being mentioned, but behind the scenes here, we have an amazing content creator.
The best.
And he works, probably one of the hardest working guys I've ever worked with. And we go on the road together, and this man doesn't stop. I mean, when you look at like a Peter Schiff video that we did, or you look even when we went down and interviewed the banker in Washington, WaFed's CEO, you guys have no idea. I mean, we're literally carrying 7 enormous carry-ons or these cases that we're checking in, and just from the time that Joe gets to the airport and just to get the equipment on the plane, because we take the full studio with us, to making it happen is just an amazing undertaking. But we're really grateful.
congrats, guys. You guys deserve it. I've been following the channel for some time now. I think at least 6-7 months now. And I've seen you guys grow. You guys do a great job. And you guys are both so easy to talk to as a guest. I can tell. I'm sure your guests love coming on your show because you guys are so warm. And
Not all of them.
Not all.
Apparently, yeah, there's some drama, but you guys are so straightforward, straight shooter, and straight to the point. No wash, but it just feels good, I guess, that someone is honest, that when you come in and you just know you're going to have a real conversation with. So I thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, and would love to come anytime in the future. It's always a pleasure.
Well, we appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. And hats off to you with your new project. I think it's amazing, and looking forward to hearing more. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Melissa.
Yeah. More questions, or is that a wrap? Which way are we going? Which direction?
I think it's a wrap. I mean,
think
we're
it's a
2
wrap,
hours
too.
here tonight, and it's early for Arvin. He's probably just thinking about dinner, and I'm
You
thinking
gotta
about
go
bed.
play with the kids and put them to bed.
Yeah. Arvin, really fortunate for your time tonight. Thank you so much for sharing your program. And guys, take advantage of it. The information is down below in the show notes, but looking forward to hearing more of your success, Arvin. And thanks so much.
Sounds good, man.
And use the promo code Sachs. Okay,
Yes.
capital letters is case sensitive. Okay, so Sachs, use it. This is the first time I've ever given a discount. So use it a 20% discount for anything you buy, any one of the packages you buy. And thank you for having me on. And I really appreciate the love and the straight answers and questions. And I love the format of your show. And we even got to talk about, we even had a Huberman moment where we talked about health and wellness.
You talked about wellness.
I did it. We got to the
Arvin. That was you.
supermarket somehow, and then that came
man.
up. So.
All right, buddy. Well, we appreciate you. We love you guys for spending your Super Tuesday with us here at Sachs Realty. See you next time.
See you next time.
Take care, guys. Bye.